The film series that won't die. Nearly 30 movies, one house, actually several houses, and cursed artifacts.
The Amityville Horror Podcast.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Amityville Podcast. I'm Pat.
I'm Tom. Today we're watching Amityville, the final chapter.
Yep. This movie was released as Sickle, then re-released shortly thereafter as Amityville, the final chapter, in order to cash in on the nobody owned... Yes, sorry, my cat has got opinions on this too. Apparently I'm the only one in the room who thinks that we should be watching this.
It wasn't even... Like, there are... In, like, the Hellraiser series, you have later films that do not... The scripts did not start as a Hellraiser movie, but they added stuff to make it a Hellraiser movie, and so it's like, okay, well, this is just this direction this is. As near as we can tell, this movie started as Sickle, was filmed as Sickle, was released as Sickle, and then months later, hey... Why don't we call it Amityville instead, and then maybe people will watch it? This isn't an Amityville movie.
It's checking the box of things released as Amityville movies, and we've already seen some stuff stray way away from the actual Amityville horror, so I feel like this is kind of getting us ready for the bumpy ride that's going to continue on that.
But at least in those movies, they reference the town. At least they like gussy up. They like digitally, like in the last one, the
photoshopping the window eyes,
photoshopping the thing and putting the stuff in. This is just you are letting the internet run your life, and it makes me sad.
They spent the money to get that name copywritten. They spent money on posters, on a DVD release. Like they did, more than just call it that on the internet. I will say that, like, they put forth the effort to properly cash in.
Folks at home, what you're not seeing is that on the television right now on Vudu, which is where we'll be streaming it, it says Sickle. Sickle, 2015. It has the poster art, which is Sickle, and a bloody Ouija board with like a worm or a tentacle sticking out.
It's a sickle.
It's a sickle. Duh. And it says the other side has answered. And in the blurb, it doesn't even reference Amityville. Like, none of this says Amityville because it's just not.
If you were just scrolling through any of your services looking for Amityville movies, this one would never turn up at this point.
Yeah.
But...
So, I mean, I'm not saying we're not doing it. I am questioning. Don't we have enough work to do? Don't we have enough movies that at least, started out as like, like at least some point in the production of it. Like, it's because this is so post-production, we're just putting a name on this thing. I don't understand.
But sometimes on a franchise, when you know that now you're just doing it for the franchise and for the sequels, it actually kind of kills it, like the Die Hard movies. Die Hard started as Nobody Lives Forever or Nothing Lasts Forever.
Something like that, yeah.
It was a sequel to the novel The Detective. Famously, Sinatra was given first right of refusal on it.
God, that would have been an interesting movie.
Yeah, wouldn't have worked.
No, terrible.
They pretty much went to him with an offer that would say, like, you're not going to do this, but we're not going to tell you you're not going to do it. We'll let you decide.
Yeah.
But then Die Hard 2 was based on a novel 58 Minutes, which was completely unrelated from a different author. It was just, there's a terrorist situation with an airport.
But they rewrote it to have Bruce Willis as John McClane.
And Die Hard 3 was another script that was
supposed to be Simon Says, I believe, and which, would have been a great title for that movie.
Yeah. And
but again, they made it this. This is, I mean, we're not going to read the synopsis that is on the screen, but there's spoilers. This has nothing to do with it. And the situation you're describing, there is an owner of the franchise. As we've established, at this point, there is no Amityville franchise. There is just a name that gets slapped on things.
Right.
The when, I think, is a crucial factor for whether or not it counts.
Fair enough. I'm just thinking, like, people trying to make Amityville movies might occasionally make a Die Hard 4 or 5.
Sure. And I'm on board for watching those. This one is just, man, it doesn't even, like, you have to, like, search for Sickle and Amityville to even find this thing. Like, it barely comes up in Amityville searches. That's how far removed this thing is. And the other ones, again, have nothing to do with anything other than, like, we're calling them Amityville.
Well, all of that, I think, speaks to the amount of research we have done to do this podcast.
Dude, people at home, you don't understand the work and the effort we put into this thing. Mm-hmm. We went onto the internet, and it took like 10 minutes.
Yeah, we made a spreadsheet.
Things. Yeah, we have.
We cross-referenced some of it.
Uh-huh. And yeah.
And
so, you should be more grateful. That's all we're saying. Yeah. Send us money. Or something. Send us gifts. Mm-hmm. Send us Amityville gifts. Are there Amityville gifts?
There has to be.
Find us Amityville gifts, all three of you that are listening, and send them to us. But in the meantime, let's watch Amityville, the final chapter, which, okay.
It's not an Amityville. It's not a final chapter.
Discuss. I mean, if that's not a Linda Richman, that was the character. Coffee Talk with Linda Richman. Sickle is neither an Amityville nor a final chapter. My favorite one that was never on it, but I use, is like whenever somebody mentions the original Wolfman movie, Lon Chaney Jr. was neither a Lon nor a Junior. Discuss.
Huh.
Lon Chaney Jr., he's billed as Lon Chaney Jr. His name was actually Creighton Chaney. He was Lon Chaney's son.
Right, but he was neither Lon nor therefore.
So what is your favorite phony baloney final chapter?
I love Freddy's Dead.
That's great. The Final Nightmare. That movie never gets enough love.
It really doesn't.
Which is, going to be the subtitle to the exhibit or essay we'll write about Rachel Talalay.
Yeah.
Your work never gets enough love that it deserves. 100%. She's just so good.
We've tried to see about potentially when theaters start, opening up more, doing an event with her in Baltimore, trying to get like Tank Girl or. Sure. Honestly, Tank Girl's like the number one that we
sure.
But
Freddy's Dead might be the easier thing, or Ghost in the Machine. God help us. But she's connected up with John Waters. Like she worked on a bunch of his movies as well.
Yeah, she's got a lot of Baltimore connections. Yeah. She does a lot of filming right now in the UK and Canada. But
she directed definitely one of the spookiest, if not one of the best, Doctor Who episodes in the last few seasons. That I think it's called Hell Sent or Heaven Bent or Hell Sent. It's the one with 12 Capaldi, where he's just stuck in this castle and being hunted, and it is haunting. Nice. It's really good, and she did a bunch of stuff on My Beloved Flash show. But I mean, for me, I like Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter, because Friday the 13th have had so many movies. There's the Part 4 was a final chapter, which was not the last movie, and then Friday the 13th 9 was Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday, and it wasn't the last one of those either.
Nope.
That's how absurd those movies are.
Yeah, they've had two, and like at least Friday 4 gave you the sense of closure, and they did have the
they killed Jason.
They killed Jason. Then the next movie was somebody else, and then
a new beginning. Yeah, they at least we're gonna keep going, but a new beginning. We're recognizing the thing, and then when that failed miserably, they're like, all right, Jason lives. He's back. Leave us alone. But then what else? Resident Evil, I think the last one so far is the final chapter.
Yeah, they're doing a reboot on it. Yes. But because those movies, every movie ended with a cliffhanger of, hey, here's the thing you probably wanted to see in this movie, but it's coming now. And then credits. And then you get to the next movie like, oh, that thing happened. We're into this now, and it's going to get... sorry, next time.
In their defense, I agree. Overall, they... whiff or they waffle on most of their cliffhangers, but in their defense, number 2 fulfills the cliffhanger of number 1, and number 4 fulfills the cliffhanger of number 3.
Okay.
But other than
after
that,
a while,
dude, the last one, like in number 5, they end on like, it's all our most superpowered characters on top of the White House. The apocalypse is literally on their doorstep. You missed it? You didn't see it? It was during the credits. What? Leave us alone.
Mm-hmm.
Which is only part of why the last movie is not great.
Because they have to...
Yeah. It's whatever. But anybody else have a final chapter?
I don't know. Well, I know...
Halloween doesn't have a final chapter.
No, they never did a final on that. With Freddy's dead, like, Freddy is also dead. Like, when they brought it back, it was not that Freddy, though. Like, New Nightmare was a different incarnation of Freddy.
Mm-hmm. And then Freddy vs. Jason, he's very much dealing with the fact...
So.
No, he's very much dealing with the fact that he got for real killed. Yeah. Or he got killed in a way that interferes with his life, his afterlife. Yeah. And so he has to deal with it. So both of those iterations, I think, do a good job of dealing with the fact that the final nightmare was the final nightmare, at least for a while.
Right.
And then we don't talk about the remake because it wasn't good at all.
That's a different timeline anyway.
And it wasn't good at all.
Oh, not at all. Not even remotely.
Anybody else have a final chapter? Chucky's never had a final chapter.
No, Chucky openly wants to keep going, and I cannot wait for more.
Heck yes.
Who else has never definitively? Because that's the thing. A lot of franchises don't go long enough.
Yeah, to really like. Okay, we got to stop doing this.
Yeah, it's usually they're still making money. Let's find another twist. Like Leprechauns just keep going anywhere. You're not going to get.
There's never been a final chapter for Leprechaun.
Yeah, they've done a Leprechaun Returns, but
Jesus God. There was a movie called The Final Countdown, but I believe that is the only. That's not a franchise. It's just The Final Countdown.
And as far as Final Fantasies go, I mean, they've got over a dozen Final Fantasies.
Yeah, it's kind of a great alliterative name, but I don't know what they were going for with it.
It's like you would expect that of the never-ending story. It's never-ending.
This is a lot of people wanted their money back.
Yeah,
it's just like, what are you talking about? This is a movie ended. Give me my $5 back. I paid for an everlasting gobstopper of a movie. What the hell?
And every usher across the country having to explain it. No. The story carries on in your heart. It's a thematic thing.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
I know. I mean, they still gave the money back, but, you know.
I thought you were going to say they had to, explain more. No, technically it is a children's movie, but there are scary parts in lots of children's stories.
Gamork.
Oh, my God. That thing is still terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
All right. We're going to watch Gamork, the final chapter. And we'll let you know how it is as both its own movie and an Amityville movie.
Yeah. I wonder which we're going to have to focus on more.
Yep.
All right.
All right. Back in a few. And we are back. That definitely was not an Amityville movie.
No, it was not.
Even though there was a house, and things happened, and there was murder, and there was some sort of supernatural demon-y thing.
It could have been. They could have made, with very little post-production effort, they could have made this an Amityville movie. And I don't know why it bothers me so much that they didn't, other than the fact that they called it an Amityville movie. Even though it ain't.
And apparently that they shot it 4 years before they released it.
Yeah.
And in that...
They had time.
Yeah. They could have had that change at the ready. Unless maybe... they couldn't shoot new scenes because everyone had aged 4 years.
Yes. Wow.
But just an ADR line over the shoulder, you were saying.
It's like maybe something like somebody's looking at a laptop that says that the murder happens in the Amityville house, and that's it. That's all they needed to do. But no, we open up with talking heads talking about the Mothman. Don't write that down because it will never be picked up again, because it's not the Mothman. It's a demon called Sickle.
Sickle is a Massachusetts Mothman, because Mothman is
That's it's kind of like the generic term, I guess, at this point.
Yeah, that's more like
we have every place has its cryptid.
Yeah, Mothman being a big one.
Mothman's usually in the West Virginia area.
Yeah, Mothman's West Virginia, Goatman is Maryland's.
Jersey Devil is Jersey.
Right. Massachusetts, I guess, has Sickle. Yeah, people have these tales of Sickle that don't really inform us of the point of the plot or any of that.
Nope.
They just basically say, like,
They do reference the top hat.
Yeah. They give us the description of he wears a top hat, he's tall, and he has been seen at things and events, and...
It's basically what if you could see Slash's face.
Yeah.
Slash from Guns N' Roses.
And it turns out Slash has been hiding the fact that he looks like a...
He looks like Eddie from all those, was it Death...
Iron Maiden.
Was Iron Maiden. Maiden.
I was saying he looks like Eddie, like if you got the cheaper version of the mask, where it's not actually an Eddie mask, but it is a,
decomposing person mask.
Iron metal zombie man.
Yeah, exactly. Not copyright infringing man.
Exactly.
But so we get some talking heads, which always love a movie that starts with talking heads. Because, that means we have no artful way to give you this information. We're just literally going to look into the camera and tell you what the movie's about. But it doesn't have anything to do with anything. It quickly cuts to news footage of Michael Hart, 11-year-old Michael Hart, being arrested for having murdered his 16-year-old babysitter, who, an hour and 15 minutes in would eventually be named Candace. But he's accused of the murder and sent to a mental hospital for 15 years, so he's basically convicted of the murder.
Yeah.
We mentioned the use of the words because everybody will act like he's just been accused of the murder.
Well, that's the thing. Everyone keeps saying you were accused of murder, but if you're in a mental hospital for 15 years, the trial would have happened where you were either convicted or cleared.
Yeah, pretty sure you murdered that person because there was nobody else there. And also no blood. Like, it's fun. They keep just cutting back to a shot of the dead babysitter. And she's got, slashes all over her body and is missing at least one leg. But he's got no blood on him as he's being let out. Because, it's not like it would gush.
Yeah, but they knew that he did it because he listens to heavy metal music.
Yes, the neighbor talking to the news reporter says that she always knew he was up to no good listening to that heavy metal music.
It's
this would be in the year 2000, so it's not like it's like the 80s Tipper Gore era. This is just silly.
By this point, saying you won't listen to heavy metal music because of the Satanism is kind of like not listening to that jazz music because you love the moon and the June and the spring
and the Juno.
Yeah.
I was likening it more towards people that are very much into vinyl. Is there a hipster equivalent to being a prejudicial scumbag? I prefer, even though this has been completely debunked by a zillion different things, I still prefer this. I still prefer these times when we could shit on these people. It's I prefer the vinyl to the CD, even though there's no discernible difference.
I will say, for me, the discernible difference between vinyl and CD...
No, don't be that guy that I just literally said is an asshole.
...is not whatever... Oh, the warmth of the thing. No. I like that I can put on an album and just listen to the whole thing straight through. It makes, for me... It commits me to actually having the whole experience rather than throw on a scene of a movie I like. I'll get it so that I actually go back and re-listen to it because I love having all my music digital. I love being able to shuffle and make playlists, but that's my way of being able to concentrate. But it's not a benefit of the actual production.
This is the worst tangent. I hate you so much right now.
I'm sorry.
You have to understand, I hate Patrick forever for making me watch this movie.
Yeah, we're at odds right now because this hour and a half just went by.
Trying to justify. I literally just said, this type of person is a jerk. Well, actually, let me explain why I'm not.
I feel like at this point I've just got to antagonize
this bastard.
I mean, there needs to be actual conflicts because the movie featured very little of it.
Despite having a monster.
Yeah,
that was
had a monster.
People.
Had a lot of people accusing the main character of being a murderer, but they're all very supportive of him.
Yes. The people on the screen, there's an orderly at the hospital. I assume orderly. He did not appear to be a doctor, or he did not carry himself as a doctor, and also Michael's uncle, Nick Kroll. It's not Nick Kroll, but with glasses. He looks a lot like Nick Kroll.
When he had his glasses on and his hat on, yeah. As soon as he took them off, it was something else.
Oh, this is unfortunate. Put the hat and the glasses back on. I'm sorry, we skipped. Michael has been in a mental institution for 16 years and is released at the beginning of the film. We eventually find that out, but first we have to stop off with Kim, who is finishing up her whatever year of college and is going back home, and we really needed that backstory for her.
Yeah, her parents are also
surprisingly interracial.
Yeah, but also like
Kim appeared to be just a white person. That's why I was just kind of like, oh wow, mom is black. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's kind of like on Louie, where they're just like, oh, and this is like you have like the two whitest children on the planet, and it's like, oh, that's her mom, and it's a black actress.
Yeah,
it's just kind of funny. Anyway,
but yeah, it was her parents were sort of supportive, but not supportive. But she wants to investigate the paranormal.
Yeah, she wants to hang out with her cousin, played by Kane Hodder's younger, less successful brother, and. He has a ghost hunting business.
They keep calling it a business. They don't say how they make money. At one point there is talk of being able to sell the business because of the proof they have been getting.
They repeatedly say they are not on television. They espouse that kind of ghost hunting. So it keeps becoming like, how are you making money? Is this a business? What are you talking about?
Who is hiring you to come in and prove these ghosts? How are you proving them? How is your proof not garnering more attention, money, the scientific community, all of that? But they say that they have been proving roughly, 10 cases a week?
Yeah, there's something.
Which, 10 cases for a ghost hunter not proving anything is a lot for a week, if not a month.
Yeah, it was like this. I remember reading this one Ghostbuster comic where Ray was kind of bemoaning their business to Peter. It's just like, yeah, it's kind of fun and all, but, we were scientists, and we have conclusively proven the afterlife. Why aren't we being heralded? Why are we just janitors?
Yeah.
It's kind of funny, which these people appear to be in the same situation, that they're just, going around local haunted places, proving that there's a ghost. I say proving in heavy italics and quotation marks, because there are very little special effects in this film, and they don't show anything. So I don't know how they're proving it. It doesn't. God damn it, Patrick! I hate this movie. So then, 40 minutes go by.
Yeah.
And stuff happens in this 40 minutes.
There are conversations. There's a whole conversation about a band that is touring.
Oh, right.
The radio DJs go in about it.
Twin something or other.
I don't remember because they're not featured on the soundtrack. We never hear any of their music, but our main girl is given a CD of it, which is...
fan.
Yeah, big fan of it.
And then they have a 5-minute conversation about how CD sounds just as good as vinyl.
Especially...
I hate you. Why? You were about to bite... Take the bait! Oh my god!
No, that was where I was originally heading on the previous rant, but we derailed our derailing. We're just hopping tracks all over the place. This is like...
Alright, so Michael gets...
This is like the end of Temple of Doom. We've got a lot of tracks, and we're just going to crash through whatever we can.
Michael gets out of the mental hospital, is taken in by his uncle because his parents don't want to have anything to do with him, what with him being convicted of murdering somebody when he was 11. His uncle gives him a job working at his uncle's garage, which is conveniently located in his garage in the suburbs.
When he said you can work in my garage, we had made jokes about how it's just going to be the garage at his house. It was. It just actually was.
And the first person that Michael ends up working for is Mr. Crane. And you're going to have to take everything we say about Mr. Crane with a grain of salt. On the one hand, yes, he is the absolute best thing about this movie. But on the other hand, no, that makes him class valedictorian of summer school. It is not an achievement.
Yeah, but he's
oddly entertaining.
He is very entertaining to watch. He has such an eerie cadence. We pieced it together.
He is, to set the scene, he is a 7-foot-tall white man dressed head to toe in black with the fakest white hair and fakest white beard.
Mm-hmm. Like the absolute Spirit Store Komen.
Exactly.
White.
And he sounds exactly like...
It's if Tom Noonan was trying to portray Elliot Gould.
Yes. Maybe this is supposed to be like a Robert Altman movie. Maybe that explains everything. Why, like, everything is poorly recorded and we're just kind of meandering around these amateur people.
But nobody talked over each other?
No.
So...
No, that doesn't. But Mr. Crane.
Mr. Crane talks very specifically, and he wants to make sure that you understand every piece of information that he is giving you. And okay, everybody in this movie has some sort of an accent, and it's not so much a regional accent as you've never heard these words out loud.
Yeah.
And,
Mr. Crane is perpetually putting the emphasis on the wrong syllable with every single word. Yeah. In like some sort of way to make him sound more worldly or smarter than everybody else. But in addition to him, other people like Sue has a very weird way of pronouncing always, or was it always? Always. It was always.
That's like
It's filmed in Massachusetts, but there is not one Boston accent or even like a New England accent. It's just, but there is an accent happening in this movie.
There is an accent of ESL.
ESL. Oh my! It sounds like people who have never heard anything ever. So.
It really is like they're just phonetically pronouncing words. There are many actors in this that are very definitely reading their lines.
Yes, from off screen.
Yeah,
like there's a cue card. You see their eyes darting to it in between every word.
Sometimes you'll even see them do you can watch their eyes as they're reading, but often it'll just be constantly glancing down at the cue card or over at the cue card, just kind of like not able to keep track of what they're saying between sentences.
Yeah. Which is great, because when you don't know how a sentence is supposed to end, you're really not going to sell it well.
Not even remotely. Yeah.
But not like Jeff Goldblum. My one of my old high school English teachers put it perfectly. Jeff Goldblum says every line in every movie as if he is just thinking of it at that moment, as if he has never read it. But as if he is in the moment, he is that person and has come to that conclusion.
Yeah.
And that's what makes everything about what he says fresh and exciting. People could not memorize any dialogue whatsoever.
Yeah, this is 100% the opposite of that. This is... You don't even believe that the person is saying lines that their brain has come up with.
No. Which was frustrating, because there were definite moments where, like, this is not a good script, but there were jokes in the script. Like, there were bits of dialogue that, if delivered well, could have been funny.
Had the material connected to their brain in any sense, you might have gotten something out of it.
Yeah.
But...
So Mr. Crane immediately hires Michael to do odd jobs around his house, but mainly to talk to me. Because I like to converse with people, and I hate my family, and will give you lots of money so that I do not give it to my family in lieu of giving it to you, who works very hard. I know you are a hard worker because I have met you for 20 minutes.
He has him mow his lawn. He has him weed out back. Which inspired the concept of a demon landscaper, not in this movie, but something we would like to see down the road, and not quite like the Lawnmower Man short story.
He would be the good guy.
Right.
Or he would be fighting demons with his landscaping.
Yeah.
Like, what was that, was it Jack Brayer or something? There's some movie like Jack something, Monster Hunter or Monster Slayer, that was like, it was like trying to be an Evil Dead thing that never caught on. a whole bunch of years ago. Don't worry about it. It was not great. Watch Tucker and Dale versus Evil better. Instead, that was the movie that it wanted to be.
Gotcha.
And also the movie I would have rather have watched this afternoon.
Many movies would be
so many movies.
A better way to spend the afternoon. So
eventually, the ghost hunting group hooks up with Michael. Because they're all sort of local, but sort of not.
Yeah, they're all from this same neighborhood that's never really named. Or if it is, it's not memorable.
Yeah. So on the Ghost Hunters group, there's Sue, who is a conniving bitch. And
multiple characters agree with this estimation.
Yep. And she hears about the local monster called Sickle. Who is the titular Sickle of this movie? Which, again, I'm looking at this. Like, they have a Ouija board on the cover or the poster for this movie. There is no Ouija. Oh, God, I hate this. Anyway,
and it says the other side has answered. But they also establish
that actually does connect.
But they said there's multiple layers, not just two sides.
But yeah. So Sue hears about Sickle and figures, hey, this is our chance to get fortune and glory, as opposed to just, jobbing it with what they do now, which, again, no idea what they do or how they make money. So she comes up with the scheme, let's get this Michael Hart guy to go back to the house where the babysitter got killed, because either A, we prove that he did kill her, or B, there's a monster. And again, with a little ADR, you could have made this the Amityville house. Mm-hmm. And this would have lined up, and this would have just been, a shitty Amityville movie, instead of just a shitty movie that we watched for some reason. Because the internet told you to do it, and you do everything the internet tells you.
The internet also told me if you take WD-40 and you wipe down your albums, then it actually gets you a cleaner sound.
We haven't mentioned the ear hair yet.
All of the hair. Let's start with the ears.
There's everybody, it's all amateur actors, which, not shitting on amateur actors, but nobody groomed, at all. And so there are these long conversation shots with Michael's orderly, and he's got very dark ear hair coming out of his ear. And I couldn't stop looking at it. Mm-hmm. It was terrible.
At first it looks like shading, but then as soon as you see it, you cannot unsee.
Yeah. Everybody has perpetual 5 o'clock shadow, except for Michael, who I assume the actor cannot grow hair, and also Mr. Crane, who has a perfect spray-on beard.
Yeah. It's he has real facial hair because we see a flashback of his normal hair, which is exactly the same except without the white spray-in.
Yeah. That's how you know it took place in the past.
Yeah. Now, there are some scenes where either he is inverse Ash or Mad Maxing, but he's got a streak of not white hair.
Yeah.
But it looks more like just where he missed.
I mean, again, we're all people. It's fine. He's the only... He appears to be making the effort. So, credit where credit's due.
Yeah, he learned his lines.
He did. Again, he's played by an actor named Brent Northup, and he is the best part of this movie. Easily. Which is not a saving grace at all.
But he was legitimately entertaining us every time he was on screen.
Yes. So they go to the house. They trick Michael. This is, honest to God, this was really messed up. Sue pretends that she wants to go out with Michael on a date. She introduces him to all the her ghost hunting friends, and then they all go on a ride in the car, and it's only when they pull up to the house that he realizes that they have taken him to the house where he was accused, his house where he was accused of murdering somebody, and he has at minimum he has mental issues.
Yeah, he has been in a facility for 15 years.
That is so messed up.
And he is already having issues with thinking he's seeing Sickle. He's having visions of it.
Yeah.
He's talked to the orderly who says, well, we have medications that can help with delusions, which makes you wonder what they had done with him for 15 years.
No idea. It was all just, macrame and team building exercises, but never actually addressing the problem.
Now that we've got you back out into this society, why don't we maybe take a look at some of your issues?
Maybe.
All right.
I don't know. something. So they take him there, and all of a sudden they are bombarded with flying clip art.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you see, like, clip art knives, clip art
butcher
meat
knives,
cleavers.
cleavers.
I'm sure Clippy himself was in there.
Yeah, exactly. It was really adorable.
It looks like you're trying to summon something.
Have you tried doing an inverted star, drawing an inverted star in the circle? Have you tried using virgin's blood instead of just your own heathen blood?
Could work. Well, although if he was locked up when he was 12, maybe it was.
Could have been.
Yeah.
Could have been. Yeah.
Even though somebody did say about him getting arrested when he was 12, I will buy him a dress. I hope they do the worst to him in there or something like that.
His neighbor was really messed up.
She was terrible, and she was the good Christian who disliked the satanic heavy metal. So,
yes.
We all know the type. Their Christianity is in hatred only.
Yeah. Well, Jesus preached hatred. That's what the Bible tells me.
I remember he flipped over the table.
Those stupid Pharisees.
Yeah, because they were insisting that there is something about the magnetic hiss of a tape. And
Exactly.
that's the ideal hipster format.
You're playing the Psalms backwards, and it's invoking the devil.
And so Jesus just went in and flipped over the entire flea market.
Yes, exactly. So Michael, of course, leaves and then goes to talk to Mr. Crane, who reveals that it was not an accident that he started hiring Michael to do all his odd jobs and paying him $500 an hour to talk to him. But in fact, he knows about Sickle and all about the multiverse and all the different layers of reality. And if this had come at any point before minute 75 of a 90-minute movie, this could have been a much better movie.
If it had also been explored as the premise. So Mr. Crane explains that we live on our plane of reality, but that there are simultaneously multiple layers of reality, and each of those layers contains an entire race of, or an entire just reality, other creatures, other people that coexist with us all the time, and occasionally the layers drift closer and further than each other.
The other side answering.
Yeah, it's sort of like the premise at one point Aykroyd wanted to get for Ghostbusters 3, the lenticular hell dimension.
What?
Where it's basically there is a hell Earth existing at the same time, and it's just a matter of if you can shift the right frequency or wavelength, then you can see it.
Like Ecto Kid.
Yeah, like Ecto Kid, which was the Wachowski brothers for Clive Barker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or at least one of... eventually both of them were on there. Yeah.
And I say brothers because of, at the time...
At the time.
It was the Razor line through Marvel.
Yeah. At the time, Andy and Larry, currently Lana, and I think still Andy. Or I think Andrea.
I think so. I can't remember.
Yeah. Either way,
if you were looking for these comic books, Ecto Kid, it was under Wachowski brothers.
Yes.
But yeah, like the parallel dimension, very close to ours, and the way it was described could have been an interesting premise for a movie. Instead, it is just dropped here towards the end, and then not even really addressed again, and actually kind of negated by the way it plays out.
Yes and no. Mr. Crane reveals the whole backstory about how he went to Ireland to a town called Finn that you will not find on a map, and he met a man named Dudley who conspicuously does not have an Irish accent.
Not even remotely.
Not even a silly movie Irish accent. But Dudley explained that he was a beacon for one of these such creatures, and Michael is a beacon for Sickle. And so Michael is not responsible for the deaths of Sickle, but he kind of brings Sickle.
Yeah.
But Mr. Crane wants Michael to come with him back to the house to summon Sickle so that he can avenge his wife's death. And he's willing to give him $2.5 million. Yeah. And he also references some other checking bank account that has even more money, but don't worry about that. You will get $2.5 million. I don't understand what the point of that was.
The $2.5 million that he is willing to offer Michael is what he considers a drop in the bucket compared to his wealth. His other bank account has more money that can be counted, which I don't know how many banks you know.
You have a bad bank if they can't count.
Yeah, they're like, oh, that looks like too much. We will hold it for you, but we're not going to count that.
Our calculators only go up to $999,999.99. I guess we'd need another calculator.
Mm-hmm. They had at one point an abacus that could handle such large numbers, but anytime a truck drove by, they lost everything.
Oh, god damn it.
Yeah.
So, of course they go back. Or actually, excuse me. Or after Michael immediately spurns Mr. Crane's offer, and Phil, our head ghost hunter, gets his head chopped off.
Yeah.
Not apropos of nothing. I mean, it's a horror movie and all, but it's still just kind of... Phil at first gets his... Sickle shows up in Phil's house, which is not, the evil house, the Amityville house. And, Sickle slices his throat with a pretty... the actual slitting is very nonchalant, but, the makeup is good for, the open throat. And then, in a very clip-arty, Photoshoppy way, he gets decapitated. Mm-hmm. And I kind of appreciated it.
Yeah.
For what it was I appreciate how much they pulled off with that.
Yeah, it was an effect that was above their means that they pushed through anyway.
Yeah, I think they did a good job with that.
Yeah.
But then we started here. But then the orderly shows back up at Michael's place and says that Phil was killed in the exact same way. The police are saying that Phil was killed in the exact same way as your babysitter was. And they keep going, showing us pictures of the babysitter. That was not how she was killed.
Unless you mean exact same way in that it was in the same house and that Michael had been present at some point.
But it wasn't even the same house. It was Phil's house.
Oh, right.
Sickle goes to Phil's house, and he gets his head chopped off. When they keep showing the babysitter has several gouges on her torso. Her head is still attached, and one of her legs is chopped off. And little 11-year-old Michael or 12-year-old Michael had no blood on him, which, of course, the police assumed. This is a stupid movie.
I think that the police in this town are just not very good. I mean, they didn't notice the lack of blood on the kid. They don't know what the MO was between them to say that they're that similar. They also had a kid in custody for 15 years and never actually brought him to trial. I feel like they're slacking.
Yeah, no, it's not good. But either way, Michael decides this has to stop. He goes back and he gets Mr. Crane. Let's go to the house and put an end to Sickle. And you see Mr. Crane pull out a Glock. He's like, let us go kill Sickle.
We are going to bust a cap on you. Yeah.
And so they go back to the house. And there are other... Don't get us wrong. There are other people in these scenes, but they don't matter at all. And so the orderly, Uncle Bill... God, it's Bill and Phil. Uncle Bill.
Bill and Phil,
Uncle Bill, Michael,
Jill.
And... what was her name? Sarah? Yeah, Sarah. Our college girl who is, I guess, supposed to be a love interest.
I guess, because, Susan had taken Michael to the thing and it was implied it might be a date, but then the age gap on those two, bit much.
A little bit. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, but then,
Love is love.
So he and her are there with everybody else as... Sickle shows up, and there is a fight scene. Have you ever tried to get a beer out of a fridge at a party where everyone's hanging out in the kitchen?
Yes, that is exactly it.
This is that fight scene with a guy with a scythe, and he's just...
somehow missing everything. Everybody's just kind of doing the hokey pokey around each other. Orderly gets killed. Uncle Bill gets killed.
Mm-hmm. Most of the folks are getting killed.
Oh, Sue gets killed.
Sue gets
thrown up against the cabinet.
Yeah, strangled and then thrown at the cabinet.
Yeah.
But Sickle is kind of killing everyone off because it's such close quarters, and I think he's just trying to make space.
Yeah, it's just you're all crowding me. I don't know what you want.
It's guys, just go back to the living room or something.
And once Michael gets Sickle into position for Mr. Crane to shoot him in the back of his head... Mr. Crane betrays them because
Heel
he wants the
turn.
power.
Oh my God! Sickles turned his back on Michael. It's a J.R. Ross. I'm sorry. It's not a good one.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
It was for a heel turn. I feel like I kind of had to.
Oh, okay. Jim Ross. Gotcha.
Yeah.
But yeah, as it turns out, Mr. Crane wanted the power of Sickle the entire time, and that was why he befriended Michael. Not because Michael was such a hard worker.
Right.
And so Sickle offers himself Mr. Crane, who I was really hoping would turn out to just be Sickle himself, offers himself to Sickle, and then we cut back to the radio guys. Because this is the worst movie.
Yeah. The radio guys talk about how there was another series of murders, but they point out very specifically that Michael was cleared of all charges.
Yes.
How and why, we don't know.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. They make a bunch of AMDJ kind of...
They were oddly the
comments.
best actors in the movie. But
I think they were real radio people playing real radio people.
So that's why it came off very natural for them to just be douchebags on the radio.
Yeah. I think they were given an outline of, okay, this is what all has happened. We just need you to talk about it like it's news. You guys be you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh. And then we see Michael and Sarah driving to Michael's parents' house. Or we assume it's Michael's parents' house because there's no more dialogue in the movie.
No.
Or actually, there's no more dialogue with Michael and Sarah. They just show up at this porch where these two people are, and we assume that they're Michael's parents, and they're making nice.
Their age is completely appropriate for having been the parents of a 27-year-old. They themselves being at least 33, 34.
Yeah, they look the exact same age as Michael and Sarah. It's annoying. And then we cut to three heretofore never-seen teenagers talking about Old Man Crane. He just sits in his house talking to ghosts. We should go in or not go in, or let's just leave.
They do. They just kind of wander off, and then you see Mr. Crane just laughing close up at the camera. And then we go to credits for the rocking power anthem.
Oh my God. Dirty Needles. Which is a song about not doing drugs.
Yep.
Warned by Tiger Tales with a Z, warning you about all those dirty needles. I did want to say that Mr. Crane looking directly into the camera and laughing was the best way to end the movie.
It really was. I mean, not just a movie full of the joy of Mr. Crane.
Yeah.
Occasionally people would look at the camera through the course of the movie.
Sure.
And it was a lot of close-ups.
Yeah, it was almost nothing but close-ups, which was great because the cameraman couldn't keep the face in frame most of the time. But then Dirty Needles, which, man, try to find it. It's called Dirty Needles by Tiger Tales. It is indescribably amazing.
Yeah, I need to get this. It slaps.
It's going onto my horror movie playlist probably.
Yeah,
it's just terrible. Much like this movie, which there's nothing good about this movie. Don't watch it. It's not part of this thing.
The resale value is incredibly low.
No,
even repackaging it, like
this should be razed to the ground and sold off as an empty lot.
That's how it's an Amityville movie.
What?
Is because they lied to us about what it was inside. They lied to us about everything.
That is a very metatextual way to justify wasting 2 hours.
Well, I gotta do what I gotta do. I have to live with myself.
I mean,
you get to visit.
If you don't, who will? Resale value for me is 0. This is very skippable. Unless you like Brent Northup, Mr. Crane.
Which
was funny.
I do.
It was.
I would watch a highlight reel of that.
Yeah, a highlight reel of Mr. Crane. That would be worth watching. But it's like, it doesn't... This is like, what, the 4th or 5th complete, no budget, we just slapped the name on it movie, and this is so far the worst.
This is the worst. This is the first where they simply slapped the name on the movie. Yeah. The others were at least dropping reference within the movie,
and even,
a little to a lot.
Yeah, and that is not going to make or break the movie for me, but like there's something to hold on to in all of them, even in the last one with the crazy spider stuff. And just like there's a lot of just like when they start going for the things in the last one, the Death House, the Amityville Death House. It's like, wow, you are going for it, and I appreciate that. This is just half an idea that was not developed. Like this is the outline of a first draft of a story.
And we're picking up the Amityville brand, if there is one, because it's not continuity. It's not even location.
Nope.
It is. Shit's gonna get real weird. It's gonna go over the top. We're going to pull something out of the back of our brain to show you that's just insane and has no place in this story. But holy hell, what just happened there?
Yes.
Like there's the shock value of just an insane something.
Yeah.
And this didn't do that.
No, it did not. Despite having low budget Iron Maiden dude.
Yeah. I'm saying you don't need a budget to make me say, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But this one didn't.
That was, I think next week is the Amityville Playhouse. Right?
I believe so. Yep.
I'm looking at the list. Also 2015.
Yeah, it was released, I think, within a month of this one.
Good.
Yeah.
Jesus. So hopefully that one's going to be a bit better. Like, it's all worth our time because it's all part of the great work of the Amityville Horror Podcast, but this was miserable.
This was...
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, until next week, I'm still Tom.
I'm still Pat.
And Patrick really likes vinyl, and he wants to tell you about why. But not on this podcast. Shut up. No.
But Freaked, it's the only format you can get it.
Oh, my God! No.
All right. I'm going to go punish myself. If you want to interact with us online, you can check us out on Instagram or Twitter at Amityville Show, or you can send us an email at podcastamityville@gmail.com.